Alrighty, welcome back to Shut Up and Ball NFL edition. Lots happened over the past week. I am Aaron, and per usual, I am joined by John. And we're just gonna skip how John feels today. Just kidding. How are you
No,
today, John?
no.
Fresh off the championship win. How you?
I'm doing good. The Baylor Bears, we are the national champions. I never thought that Baylor would win any national championship that was for like men's sports because we're really good at women's basketball and all these women's sports like acro tumbling and equestrian and all these different things. But all the men's sports we were just okay at for a long time. Football, it seemed like we kind of got to the cusp and then all the scandal stuff happened. And then we got to it again and then Rule went to the NFL. But basketball, Scott Drew, he's been there for 18 years, finally broke through, made a really good run, won the title. So it's a pretty special feeling. But other than that, I'm pretty good. The NFL news has been spicing up these days with all the draft drama, all the quarterbacks and all that kind of stuff. So it's getting pretty interesting.
Yeah, so we'll go right into that. That's where we're starting off today. Kind of big news happened yesterday, Monday. Today we're recording on it is on Tuesday. Monday came out the report. I think Schefter was probably the first one on it. But anyway, Jets trade quarterback Sam Darnold to the Carolina Panthers for a sixth round pick for this year's draft and a second and fourth round pick for next year's draft, 2022. Obviously, yeah, it's a move that I think we all kind of expected, especially us, just anyone that's been following football since the Jets have been at two. But I'll let John go first. What were your thoughts in regards to this trade? Do you feel like it's a fair deal, or is there a clear winner here?
Um, First off, good on the Jets. I think a lot of people expected them to move Sam Darnold and take Zach Wilson. So the fact that they finally did it, I thought was just a good decision by them because no matter how you feel about how good Sam Darnold is, there's obviously just it hasn't been the best start to his career in New York for a lot of reasons that aren't even necessarily his fault. I mean, I think a lot of people would agree that Adam Gase is not a good coach. So I think it's good for both sides to reset. I was really impressed that the Jets got a second round pick in there because it seems like a lot of teams were talking about, maybe they'd only offered a third or something like that. And so, yeah, ultimately, I think it was a win win for both sides. The Panthers, I imagine after that Niners trade, they're not comfortable with who they could probably get at 8. And I imagine because of the position they're in, they don't feel like trading up to like number 4 could even get them the guy that they're super confident in, that they're willing to give up all the assets they would need to trade up to 4. And it's a double-edged sword because then they have to equip Atlanta, a division rival, with all these draft picks that they'd be giving. So, yeah, I think ultimately Sam Darnold, he's one of those QBs that everybody was wanting to get into a better situation. I think Carolina with Joe Brady, with Robbie Anderson, his receiver who he already has chemistry with, and all the weapons they have over there. Obviously, Christian McCaffery, the focal piece. I think Sam Darnold could have a lot of success there. And I think it was a good move because, like I said, the price they'd have to pay to get higher in the draft would be a lot more expensive. And who knows at that point who they're taking. The most likely answer at that point is the leftover of Justin Fields and Mac Jones or Trey Lance, and who knows how they feel about those guys. So, um, yeah, I'm interested to see what's going to happen with Teddy Bridgewater at this point because obviously, he was the Panthers quarterback. A lot of people expected them to probably draft a QB. Bridgewater still maintains that starter role for at least another year, and then the rookie comes in. Now Sam Darnold, who keep in mind, Sam Darnold is actually younger than Joe Burrow. Like he still has plenty of years left in his career to make a lasting impression. So now you have Sam Darnold, guy who's 23 years old. High draft pick when he was selected. You invested resource into him. The Panthers have said that they're, potentially still going to take a quarterback, but I think everyone knows that's just some smokescreen to try and get some other team to potentially trade up. Because even if for them a team trades up ahead of them, that's still a win for them because then another quarterback goes and that's another skill position player or lineman or something that drops even further to potentially them. So yeah, I think it was a good move for both sides. I think the Jets are going to be able to reset here, and I think the Panthers they got their quarterback.
So yeah, I'm pretty much in the same boat as you. I will say I'll I'll start with the Teddy Bridgewater thing because that becomes an awkward situation. But I do like apparently Ian Rappaport already reported. The Panthers are letting Bridgewater talk with the teams to I guess start up a trade. Um, but Bridgewater has also mentioned that he is open to a return. So I think I found the Panthers, regardless, it's a win-win whether you keep Teddy or not. Because now I'll go to Sam. Like you mentioned, didn't really obviously New York did not give him the best chance. I feel like especially compared to some of his other counterparts in that draft class. You see Baker with the Browns; they got a really good O line, run game. Solid receivers. We all know Buffalo that's growing with Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. And then obviously Josh Rosen was the other one. But I think that they just went a different direction there. But and are you here? Sorry, you froze. So
Yeah, I'm here.
okay, well you froze. It's okay. Maybe you. um, but yeah. So this is great for Sam because now, like we kind of mentioned before, with Daniel Jones, barring health, he really this is it. At least this year, maybe next year. This is kind of put up or shut up time for Sam Darnold. To show that if he can be the franchise guy, and I know you mentioned. Oh, sorry, that's my trash alarm. I know you mentioned that I blinked. I really blanked. But anyway, and injuries have also been a concern for Sam. I think so. If they manage to keep Teddy, that's just even better for Matt Rule and the gang. Because like we mentioned last year, I mean they got off to kind of a hot start, and it just seemed like they were young. They were a young team, so it seemed like the season wore down on them. They lost Christian McCaffery, but so I'm not necessarily saying right now they'll be a playoff team, but they could easily be in that conversation. And so if they keep Teddy around just in case Sam gets hurt, which he has in previous years, they still can be a competitive team regardless. And yeah, like you mentioned for the Jets, I think he really hit on the head. I think they knew that this was probably the best deal they were going to get, and they went ahead and took it just so they can move on and and just move forward with maybe just further evaluating other players and I'm assuming they because this move was I forgot the exact date. But it's been about a week since Zach Wilson's pro day, so I'm assuming after they met with them on the pro day, did their homework, make sure that there was nothing in the background that was going to come up, and then made this move. But yeah, I like it for both sides. I just I sent that picture in our group chat, or someone did, of the Jets, their recent first round picks from Sam Darnold on, just not a great track record. This is more on the previous regime. I mean, Sam Darnold was traded 2017, their first round pick. Jamal Adams, we all know he was traded. Same thing with Darren Lee, their linebacker from 2016. Let's be honest, he didn't live up to the first round grade. Leonard Williams, they traded. Calvin Pryor, he didn't really work out. Ended up being traded. Same thing with Sheldon Richardson, and then in 2013, and then D Milliner didn't really work out. Ended up getting cut, and same with Quentin Coples in 2012. So I mean, I will say in recent years, after Darnold, it seems like Quentin Williams came on last year, and the Kai Becton was great last year. So they have some pieces going forward. And I mean, yeah, I think it's obvious now. They're probably gonna get Zach Wilson at 2 or another quarterback. And in terms of Carolina, now this is I think is probably to get to. Now they have a quarterback. They got him for kind of cheap, I would say. He didn't sacrifice any early picks this year. So now with that first round pick, they can do a lot of things. They can get one of these tackles. They can add to the defense even more, or any other really offensive lineman, or they could even trade back and get more assets. So a lot of flexibility for Carolina now. And yeah, I think kind of like you mentioned, it just seemed like once San Francisco made a move to 3, I wouldn't be surprised if that's when Carolina knew. They said, okay, well, the top 3 guys are off the board. Maybe they don't like the 4th guy that much, and they decided to find a cheaper option, at least for now. And then if it doesn't work out this year, they still have their first next year, so they could at least easily move up and get their guy if there's a guy they like next year. So any other further thoughts on that? I think I covered all that.
Nope, that's pretty much it. Before we go on to the next one, I Googled a fix of the freeze thing, and apparently it has to do with the Mac recent update. But I found a fix that I have to turn something off with.
Okay. Well, I'll pause the video and everything.
I have to relaunch Google Chrome, so I'll be right back.
All right. Well, we'll take a stop there. So we'll be back in a second.